after that, got back to the US. I got directly into the juniors. I luckily made it to the US, to St. Louis. You had some adventures along the way. Got stuck in Chicago.
Yeah, I can't have one normal trip where it's not delayed. Okay, the first part was just unlucky. It was just my flight gets canceled because of weather, and actually serious weather. There were tornadoes in Chicago.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, serious storms and tornadoes. I think that you and Grigori just barely missed out on this, but I got the effect of it.
I came from Detroit, so I didn't have any problems. But Grigori barely made it from Chicago. I think it was the last flight, Chicago to St. Louis.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got stuck overnight, but I was of course very tired. I got into the hotel. I went to sleep very quickly, and then probably went to sleep around 10 in the evening. And I was supposed to wake up because I had a morning flight booked. And then I woken up because of a fire alarm. It was a false alarm. I was like, come on, at least let me sleep. I mean, there was so much wind too. It was I was actually worried for the windows because it sounded like there were tornadoes outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I take a morning flight and right as we board, they announce we can't find your pilot. What the hell is going on? How can you not find the pilot? So
maybe
they got a new pilot from another flight.
Maybe he got affected by tornadoes or something like that.
No, but this was the morning after the storm had blown over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But they got 2 hours later, a new pilot flew in from another flight or whatever. Eventually I got there.
And he finally made it. That's good. Cool. Let's see. What else is happening right now? Juniors and seniors has been going on. 3 national tournaments. Some interesting players. I'm doing commentary for that. The thing is, there's not much viewership. Especially whenever we have this, let's say, range of players, 24 to 2600, they almost never get viewership. And I'm wondering whether something can be done about it, where, lower rated players will get the viewership that, Magnus, yourself, Hans, for example, Hikaru, the popular players, let's say.
Okay, but we should be putting the players you mentioned, myself included, should all be in separate categories.
Yes.
You can't put them in one category. So I think clearly, if a tournament wants to bring in viewership, the biggest draw will be Magnus.
Yes.
That's the number 1 spot. And the second one will be Hikaru.
Yes. They have the biggest platform online, of course.
And I'm not really sure about Hans because although he does have people know him, a lot of people know him.
He brings the viewers. He
definitely he brings the viewers, but definitely not to the same extent as Magnus and Hikaru.
No, not.
I don't know if you compare him to me. Maybe it's similar, maybe not. I'm not sure. I know that I'm obviously not even close to the draw that Magnus and Hikaru. But I'm not sure what kind of viewership Hans brings in, because if it's just Hans playing a normal tournament and there's no controversy, but I think people want to they follow Hans because they want to see, okay, will Hans play Hikaru? And there'll be some sort of
the Turkish League, for example.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a broadcast for Turkish League, but is anyone watching it?
I actually haven't seen a single minute of this Turkish League, so I don't know.
Of course, this also depends a lot on the organizers, because their platform, chess.com, has a platform which brings in viewers.
Yes.
And does the Turkish League have a platform? This is also a question for the St. Louis Chess Club that's hosting the juniors, seniors, and girls events.
It's interesting because I was actually doing the comparison between the junior girls, juniors, and seniors, and the one that's happening right now, Bill. And Bill is broadcast on Chess24, which has a fairly similar number of, let's say, YouTube subscribers as the St. Louis Chess Club. I think 400,000 something. And they get very similar amount of, at least, live viewership. I don't know what it goes to after the broadcast is finished, but during the live, they usually get between 300 and 500. and that's what we're getting as well during juniors. So I'm one, and
That,
obviously in
that
Bill,
that's actually impressive, I think, for the St. Louis Chess Club,
you
because
have way better players, obviously.
it's not even like the strength of the players. It's also um, like, for example, Pragnanta. He is a very big draw for Indian viewers, especially,
Yes,
and he's playing in Beal, right?
yes,
Uh, so yeah, there's the level of players, but if you think about the players in the seniors event, in the juniors event, in the girls event, a lot of those players aren't well known, and a lot of them don't have like a very big following as well, which is of course goes hand in hand, that they're not so well known and they don't have a big following, but also because they're you know they're not very controversial players, which for better or worse does bring in some additional views, right?
yeah,
Uh, Hans shows that.
yeah,
Even Hikaru shows that to some extent. I mean, I won't say like Hikaru is divisive in the way that Hans is, but certainly he has some like very devoted fans and then some very devoted detractors, right?
yes.
Uh, if you think about the juniors players, I can you
You
can you
don't have
think of
that. You don't have that.
yeah,
That's true. That's true. And that's kind of similar to what's happening whenever you have a big tournament and a women's event going on in parallel. With different broadcasts, you can see the difference between the numbers of viewers. We've seen that during the candidates, for example. Um, at the same time, when you have, like, for example, Norway Chess has the same broadcast for both the women and the main broadcast, and then you cannot really see that discrepancy. But I think also
that's a better system. I think that's
you
a better
think that's a
system.
better system. Have
Yeah,
have them together, yeah.
yeah, because if someone has to choose between um, watching Norway chess, for example, you gave the example, and Norway chess, the women's event, then I'm not going to say this is not like a totally sweeping um, example, but the majority of people will probably tune into the open event, to
Yes.
the Norway chess event. There will be some, of course, who are very interested in the women's event, and some who will watch both. But you can't entirely watch both, right? You can like switch between them, but for the most part, you will probably be choosing between one or the other
Is
as they're
this
going on at the same time.
is this a rating question? Is the rating the big factor that's making the difference when you choose what to watch?
Well, it's based on people follow who who they're fans of for the most part, right? So
Yes.
that definitely goes with rating and with general chess success and tournament success. So you have Magnus. Um, he has probably the most fans of any chess player.
Hmm.
I'm talking about like purely from competitive point of view, not like I understand Levy has millions of fans, but more so because of his content creation or whatever you want to call it, his YouTube channel
And whenever he plays a
and
tournament, if that tournament is broadcast on his channel, generally it amasses a pretty significant audience.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
kind of
Levy,
similar to what
course,
the Botes are doing right now. They even have
yeah,
this upcoming tournament between content creators, let's say, female content creators. So, yeah,
yeah, no,
go ahead.
yeah, these content creators who are also chess players, they do have a lot of fans, and that's natural. We're talking specifically about like the players in these two different events, right? In Norway chess, which happened
Yes,
earlier this year.
yes,
You have like Magnus, who has the most fans and followers and so on, and then you have Hikaru, probably second most, and then you have I don't know who's third most, but you have Pragnanta, who has a huge following, especially among Indian viewers, and that's potentially tens of millions of people. I don't know how many Indian
yeah. Prague
chess
is
fans there
huge.
are, but
Prague is huge.
there's a lot. And then you have me, and and you have Ali Reza, who is playing the event. Also, of course, many um, people watch Ali Reza and Ding,
Yeah,
who's a world champion. So this event is going to get a lot of viewership. It's just the case. Now, from the women's event, you had a lot of great players, but they're not going to have the same um, size of fan base. Like there's just no way.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though they're great players, and there are a lot of people who want to watch them, and I'm sure a lot of people did watch them, but it's not going to be the same level. That's just the reality. So if you have it at the same time, the people who might not even know those players in the women's tournament because they love Magnus Hikar and so on, and they want to watch those players, they get to be exposed to the best women players as well, and then they can also become fans of them.
Exactly.
While the other way, you would force them to make a choice, which they would probably choose to watch one of the events and not that one.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect
So that's why
sense.
it makes sense to have it at the same time, I think.
I sort of agree with you. It's easier to get it off the ground, I guess. It comes down to that. Very difficult to get it off the ground if it's by itself. And obviously, you can go into representation and how many women are usually playing chess compared to men and whatnot. But that's a completely different factor and topic. And maybe it's not even relevant. But anyway.
Cool. I mean, I think that's definitely relevant too, because you have, I don't know the exact ratio, but I think it's generally like 9-1.
Probably, yes.
In terms of chess players. And I wouldn't be surprised if chess viewers follow a similar pattern. That it might be like 9 men who are watching and 1 woman. I don't know if that's going to influence exactly who they prefer to watch. I don't know about that correlation, but definitely there's like a pretty clear, pretty clear pattern in terms of chess playing and viewership, which is that it's heavily favors men over women.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it heavily favors in terms of the amount playing.
Yes. No, that could definitely be the case. Cool. All right.